lot like somebody I know. I wonder if it's the same person. Anyway, go ahead. Carry on.
Everyone, and welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host, and joining me today as my co-host is David. Are you with me, David?
I am here, Pam.
Yay!
How are you?
With all the technical difficulties lately, I sometimes wonder.
I know.
I know. Well, we are very, very pleased to have with us tonight as our special guest, actor and musician, who I just found out about recently as a musician, Michael Lowry. Hello, Michael.
How you guys doing? Well, all actors try to be musicians, so, that's maybe a dubious title for me, but we'll go with it.
Hey, from what I heard, you're great. You're great. I love your band, and I was so pleased to find out that you were in a band. And, of course, for AC/DC, as we discussed in our email.
Yeah.
What better?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, again, I have to qualify that. I have a AC/DC tribute band, so we're not breaking any new ground musically, but celebrating the bombastic blues of older AC/DC, kind of the Bon Scott era of the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you. I mean, I miss those days, although I do absolutely love a lot of rock bands that are out there now, but there's nothing like the 70s and early 80s for rock bands.
I hear you, absolutely, and they were the at that time also, which we can also discuss. That was a period where rock was pop music, and I'm not sure that that's the case anymore.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think we have to search high and low and dig around a few clubs to find the great rock bands that are out there nowadays. And unfortunately, the music business isn't really as supportive, but they're out there. They're out there. In the meantime, AC/DC was always a favorite of mine, and it's easy to have a bad AC/DC tribute band, which I think initially starting out we were kind of fumbling around because you really kind of have to find the believe it or not, it's not that easy to play, and you have to get it just right, or it sounds like turds. But we've been doing it for 6 or 7 years, and I think we finally got it figured out to a certain extent. But we do our own version of it. We don't. I mean, a lot of tribute bands out there, and tribute acts in general are such a huge thing nowadays. I mean, you go up and down the Sunset Strip, and all the venues, half their schedule is full of metal 80s metal tribute bands or different like Steel Panther and Metal Gods and different bands that do a review of all the music that we all still kind of cherish, and so and a lot of them do the dress up thing and put on the wigs and try to like hit it note for note spot on. We don't really do that. We kind of we try to be adhere to the form, but at the same time our singer isn't, he's kind of he's more of a, I don't know, I guess a Joe Cocker doing Bon Scott, and our guitarist is exactly Angus. But we really rock hard and have a great time, and I like the old Bon Scott era AC/DC. There's a lot of more obscure stuff that really rocks that people aren't too familiar with that we like to kind of throw out there. People are like, oh, I didn't know this was AC/DC, but this is fantastic. So it's a lot of fun.
Now, it's more like you play homage to them more than anything else, and just do it in your own style is the way it all sounds.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I like that better than being spot on.
Yeah, and again, it kind of, as if there's any, it is a tribute. We didn't write the music, obviously, but if there's any originality, it's in our stage, on our performances, and what the different take we have on these songs. But they got to be done right, and every guy in the band just loves to rock it and rock hard, and they're all, except for me, they're all pros. These guys all play session. They're 100% professional musicians, and so which is good and bad, because the good part is they're amazing musicians, and the bad part is I can't nail these guys down to do a gig to save my life.
Oh,
most of the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to corral everybody. So I do have kind of a core group of guys I try to stick with, but if one guy can't do it, like our drummer is actually a virtuoso violinist, Jonathan Dinklage.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
and he's like the first chair violin in any and all Broadway shows, as well as our bass player is a Broadway player, and the Angus in our band, Michael Lowry, is just a monster guitar player. But they're all working musicians, and so Jonathan Dinklage, the drummer, was playing violin with the band Rush on tour for the last year. They had like a 6-piece string section on this last world tour, so he was gone for about 8 months. So I had to use a couple of different drummers. I had the pleasure of having Blas Elias play for us. He was a drummer in Slaughter. It's like a late 80s, early 90s band, and we had a couple gigs on the West Coast with him. So it's fun to play with different people, but I try to stick with the same core group of guys out of New York City. And we've got a gig coming up, actually, at this place called Dingbats in Clifton, New Jersey, October 10. Big plug.
No, please, bring it on.
Yeah. And so are you and would I spoil it by talking about your potential interview? I don't want to
No, not at all. I just haven't confirmed an actual date yet, but it'll be coming soon. So yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
Well, what's his name? Dave Evans, I think, was the first AC/DC singer back in '73 or '74 before they recruited the limo driver, Bon Scott, literally, to take over and shoot them to international fame. But Dave Evans would be an interesting interview. I'm curious because I've seen some of the stuff before Bon Scott with Dave Evans, and it's kind of they're all wearing like satin outfits and strange beanies and really not quite they're kind of a glam band. They haven't quite found their way. And then Bon Scott just kind of crashed the party, and next thing you know, they're off to the races. But that's going to be an interesting conversation. Hopefully, you can pull him down.
Yeah, he was actually when I interviewed this other guy that he's friends with, and he's a big music producer. He had told me that Dave was in Australia doing a tour at that time, and they had just finished producing an album. So he said he would be back between August and October, and well, now we're in September, so I'm assuming that he's not back yet, and I have to touch base with him to get a date scheduled for October. And I would absolutely love it, if you want to call in and speak with him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome to do.
I don't think he's written anything I would have to pay him royalties on, so
yeah,
that would be a conversation I could have with him. But you never know. He might think he wrote Highway to Hell or something. But I'd have to write him a check for $70 or something. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. As I told you, my youngest son is a huge AC/DC fan, and has been since he was a toddler. And no idea where that came from. It's not like we're blasting music throughout the house all day and all night, and just maybe AC/DC. But for some reason, he caught on to it, and now he's 17, and he still loves them, although he listens to a lot of other music.
Yeah. Does he play? Is he a musician?
No, not at all. He just likes listening.
That's the next step to drive you crazy, is to get him on drums or something.
Oh, please, don't say drums. I went out with enough guys in a band. I know what their mothers went through.
musicians are trouble. No, but AC/DC has a weird. We can keep pounding the AC/DC tune into the ground here, but it's interesting. My guitarist, he's got a 3-year-old boy, and as soon as he plays all kinds of music for the boy, for just to kind of expose him to everything, but when like TNT comes on, the kid just lights up and starts beating the floor with his fist, and he starts laughing, and it's really the only music that he responds to. It's strange, but
there must be some subliminal message in their songs that catch the little ones.
I don't know. It came out of it. It's really not metal. It's kind of amped up Chuck Berry, really kind of primal rock and roll from the 50s. That's kind of recalibrated, and I think there's something to that. I learned to play guitar actually when I was in on all my children. I would sit in the dressing room, as you do, for hours and hours on end, and I just decided I would be productive with my time and learn to play guitar at that time in my 20s, and I would just play to AC/DC. So that's how I learned, and then later decided to kind of put something together. It all came together as a charity event. Because I started to get to know Broadway performers and stuff, and a lot of the leads in Broadway shows that just want to sing rock and roll. So I said, let's do a benefit for, I think it was just after, I think it was a few years after 9/11, and so I knew some people at NYPD, and there was a foundation for the 9/11 widows and children. And so we put together an AC/DC review with like different people singing leads from Broadway shows, singing like TNT and Dirty Deeds and Back in Black. And it was we did it a couple of times. It was called Bonfire at the time. And because I thought, Bon Scott, Bonfire, how neat. And that was
there you go.
Yeah. Until I got a cease and desist letter from a tribute band called Bonfire here in Los Angeles. Yeah. And who had trademarked the name Bonfire, which I really found fascinating. I talked to the lawyer, and he's like, "You got to take all your videos down off of YouTube. You can't call yourself Bonfire." Blah blah blah. My clients paid a lot of money to reserve this name and can't be associated with anything else. And I said, okay, well, so he's reserved the right to this name to be able to copy, to be able to, play somebody else's music. I just found it extremely just ironic that he could protect that in order to play somebody else's music, but he can. So we changed the name to Done Dirt Cheap, which I actually like a lot better. And then after the first couple of charity events, this is like in 2005 or 2006, we just said, you know what, let's just have our own tribute band. We had the core group of guys, and this one Sean Jeunesse, which is our singer, and he's fantastic. And we've been playing in and around New York and a few gigs on the West Coast ever since. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, David's in New York, so he may be able to make it to one of your gigs.
Very
but
quiet. Why is he so quiet? He makes me nervous.
Well,
you are?
Oh, I love him. What? Yeah.
It's David, wake up.
I'm right here.
What's going on? Tell us about yourself.
I love listening to you.
Well, it's, I've actually also started with a friend of mine, Sean Grimes, and Sean is a friend of mine I met. He was his lead singer in another tribute band called Led Blimpie, which is a really popular Led Zeppelin tribute band in New York for many years. And he and I, he's not with them anymore. He has a different band, but he's the brainchild of this promotional kind of management company that I'm partners with him on. And we started this conversation by talking about what's happened with rock and roll and how hard it is, just kind of, how the music business has changed because, I think all media businesses have changed because of the way content is able to be created and delivered nowadays.
Right.
But music, you can make high quality music in your living room, and so it's great on one hand because you can, but there's been such a proliferation of music that people can distribute on iTunes and do their own thing, that the labels have a hard time kind of sorting through